Hey Josh, how are you? Rob Cesternino here.
Hi, Rob. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. Disappointed to see you go out of the game, but I got so many questions for you about your time because you've been very busy over these last couple of episodes.
Yes, I have. I've been loving it.
A,
It's been entertaining, to say
a
the
lot
least.
going on, a lot going on. So, um, were you fully expecting Jam Jam to go home at that tribal council that we saw in the episode last night, or were you starting to get concerned it might be you?
So I was concerned it was me when we went to six and we lost, right? Because you have a group of 12 or 14, however many were there, and now there's only six of you. So, of course, immediately I was concerned. And yes, I thought it was going to be Jam.
Okay. So, can you discuss your complicated relationship with Jam Jam in the game?
So, yeah, absolutely. When I got to Tika, or even before that, seeing he was POC, gay man, same age, husband, just like me, I wanted to work with him immediately. And when that didn't come into fruition, I think emotionally speaking, because I'm an emotional player, learning that about myself, that I was upset and I took it too far. And he's right. I did extend it because I wanted to work with him and he didn't want to work with me. So I felt hurt.
Can you, going back to your time at Tika, is there any ways that you wish that you would have handled your time there differently?
Absolutely. So immediately when we found out that we made Mergatory, I wish I would have talked to them more, got them on my side, told them my fake idol was fake, and I knew that they knew that, but just making a whole like, haha, just kidding, like let's work together, let's do this. And I just wish we were more cohesive.
You know, we ended last week's episode at a point where it looked like you were going to tribal council. You certainly were feeling the heat. Jeff comes in and says, okay, no tribal council tonight. What was the rest of that night like?
So it was honestly, we went straight to bed because we were just so exhausted and just like thinking about the game and everything. So for me, I went to sleep. It was just very, very chill. It was calming, honestly, because we weren't really talking much and we were just at war all the time. So at that point in time, like we were saying before, I wish I would have talked more to them and like, okay, let's do this together. I was just excited to get back to Soka, be with other people and tell them about Carol and Jam Jam working together and say, like, don't trust them or get them on our side so we can get Ratu out, stay Soka strong. But yeah.
So Carolyn came back from the journey last week and she had been there with Danny and Brandon, and you kind of got linked in with this so-called meat brigade that they were talking about. How much did that impact your game, Josh?
Huge. When she went on that journey, we were together. Carolyn and I, we were working together. When she got back, she changed. She was acting completely different towards me, and I felt that vibe. And I knew, I'm like, okay, she doesn't trust me. She thinks I'm with Danny and Brandon and all the big guys, and I was not. I was not. And so that's when I brought out my fake idol because that's all I had. And I just wish I wouldn't have shown them. Obviously, it fell to pieces. It's hilarious. But yeah, when she got back, everything changed. And I was like, well, I'm in trouble.
Okay, so the fake idol ends up being a pretty big part of what's going on at the merge because a lot of people are now talking about what you have. Can you just talk a little bit about your decision to keep up that lie that you had something going into the mergatory?
Right. So I did that to create confusion, create chaos, get the heat off of my back. If I told one person what I really had, and that was Jamie, she was the only one who knew it was fake that I actually told. But she didn't believe me when I said that. And then telling Brandon that I got something in the cage, what I wanted was people to give me information. So if I tell certain things to certain people, maybe I can get like who has what, who's working with who, give me the tea of the different tribes and causing the chaos. Maybe people will just like ignore me. I'm like, okay, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. We can work with, maybe we can't. Let's vote out Jam Jam. He's an easy vote. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I was just trying to create confusion and chaos.
So for all the talk of, okay, Josh could be part of this meat brigade, did you find when you got to the merge that those guys were talking to you about trying to get something going together with the people that might be more physical threats?
No, they didn't. And honestly, I was trying to stay away from that because
Yeah.
I knew if we were a part of that, we're going to be first to go. Like classic, right? You get all the big guys out first. And I was like, I don't want to be a part of that. But if they want me to be a part of that, I'll tell them whatever they need to do. And then we can just get them off later. But no, they didn't come up to me. No one talked to me about that. I was trying to talk to Brandon a little bit and work with him. But yeah, no one really, not from the Meat Brigade did.
So you had this really great conversation in the episode last night with Jam Jam when you grabbed him and you said, "Look at me, we're gonna work together. I'm not gonna write your name down." But you did both end up writing each other's names down. Were you genuine in that conversation and circumstances changed?
Yes, like Heidi was saying, 2 seconds it was plan A, 2 seconds plan B, 2 seconds later plan C. In that moment when I grabbed his face, I remember that like yesterday. I wanted to work with him. I went back to when I first got to Tika. I wanted to work with him so bad, but I knew we had this tumultuous history and we didn't trust each other, which rightfully so. So I wanted to write down Kane's name and work together with him and move forward with Carolyn and Jam at that time. And like I said before, if I would have just told him I had a fake idol and we were still at that beach that night with Tika, we could have came together. But because of everything was going on, it just landed back to Jam.
So I'm interested to know from your perspective, how surprised were you to see the Soka tribe members actively working against you once you got to the merge, when you were so excited to get back to them?
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought we were a lot closer than before because we did talk about being Soka strong while at Soka. But knowing it's now a facade, it makes sense they did because I am a threat and they should have got me out. But I wish we could have remained Soka strong and then maybe brought in Tika and got Ratu out. So yeah, exactly.
It really seemed like that Matt and Franny were sort of leading the charge at the merge feast of, okay, we have to deal with Josh. Did you get any sort of a sense that they were actively working against you?
No, actually, Matt and I were we talked a lot. That wasn't on the edit, but we were talking, and it was kind of like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. I knew Franny was not out for me actively, but I knew she was strategic. She knew every little thing about every little episode, about every little person of Survivor. So I knew, okay, she's thinking, she's smart. And maybe the sense I was talking to Matt threatened her. I don't know what the tea was with that, but
Yeah.
I wanted to work with her and then, work like till the end and then get her out. But I mean, she wanted to get me out immediately. She knows I was a threat.
So when we saw Matt go to the birdcage and he found the idol that was in the birdcage, we saw in the episode then that you were one of the people that he shared that with, that he had found the idol. Yet at the conversation, he is talking about how, potentially you have the idol from the birdcage at Soka. That's what people believed, from what I understand. Why does Matt think that you have the idol when he thinks that he found the idol?
Yeah, he thought that his was fake at that point. We had a conversation that didn't make the air. He was like, "Do you have the real idol?" I'm like, "No, I'm working with you. I would tell you." I told him the truth too. When I got back, I was like, "Okay, we're Soka strong." I told him all the tea. Franny, Manny, we're calling Matt and Franny, everything. I wanted to bring them back in. So it was surprising that he thought I had the real idol and his was fake. I'm like, "No, like I would tell you that." So I think immediately that kind of set alarms in his head, and then went from there to take me down.
Okay. We also saw Danny vote against you, where in the vote with Claire, it seemed like that you and Danny were very much on the same page. Was that a surprise for you?
Kinda, sort of. Like Danny, I was kind of working with. I wasn't. He was kind of my meat shield at that point. I was just trying to stay as small as possible. Claire and I were actually a lot closer than what they showed. Like she was my number one in the beginning. However, once I kind of got air that she was talking to Franny a little bit more and telling her stuff that only I told her, then it was a little bit easier to get out because she was sitting out and everything. But I kind of wish that we would have worked together a little bit more and went further. So it's not a surprise that Danny wrote my name down. I mean, like I said, he knew I was a threat too. So it is what it is.
Can we go back to the Sarah Tribal Council? That I'm really interested to know in terms of like how that all came together. Would you have played your idol for Carolyn?
No, that was my idol. I'm coming into a new beach from a different tribe during a swap. That would make no sense, right? I'm gonna tell her what I need to tell her to get her on my side. When we first got to Tika, everyone was super kumbaya. How are you? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. But Sarah was asking me specific questions. Are you a surgeon? What's your scar about? What's your tattoo about? And knowing now, she's trying to take the heat off herself, I think, because she was left out of the boat previously and then put it on me. So at that point, I was like, okay, she doesn't trust me. We need to get her out, right? And then seeing that Carolyn was on the outs, or it seemed like she was on the outs, I brought Carolyn in by saying like, hey, they're talking about you. Jam Jam and Sarah would always wake up a little bit earlier to go talk. And so I used that to my advantage and told Carolyn, I woke her up one night and was like, hey, they're talking about you. Like, we need to, get her out. I don't really trust her. And knowing that Carolyn wanted to get Sarah out anyway, it's kind of helped in my favor. So that's when I decided to tell her, okay, Can I trust you? I have an idol. And I was trying to get information for her. Maybe she'll give me more information, but she did not. But it worked out in the end in that regard.
So, Josh, it was such a big deal in that episode about Sarah asking you about what do you really do for a living and then them trying to poke holes in your story. But I'm interested to know for future players, what are the ways that lying about your job help your game and also hurt your game, besides what we saw on the show?
So as a surgeon, I'm used to being controlled, being a leader. I didn't want to come up too aggressive. Being a Black gay man, I'm already looked at as aggressive. I'm looked at as a threat. I'm strong. So I was trying to make myself look as small as possible. And I was trying to cover up what I did with why I looked the way I did. So saying I'm a personal trainer covers those two stories. I don't look as big. I don't look like I'm strategic. I don't look like I'm very, out to get anybody. Being a surgeon, you're thought of like you don't need the money. I thought it was going to hurt me in the end. So I thought I was going to put a target. So I lied as much as I could to make myself look smaller.
Can you go back? Yeah, thank you very much for that. So after the tribal council where Sarah went home, and you touched on this a little bit, but I really thought that you and Carolyn seemed like that you were going to be on the same page. But it didn't really, from the episode, seem like that you two were in lockstep after voting out Sarah. Do I have that wrong, or were you closer than we thought after Sarah?
So I thought we were good. Carol and I were good up until she went with Brandon and Dan. When she got back, everything changed. Her attitude, just the way she looked at me, her body language, I felt the vibe immediately. And so when she started thinking I was on the meat brigade, I'm like, I'm in trouble. I got to do something. And that's when I said, I have a fake idol. Got to vote for each other. Sorry. So yeah, I thought we were really, really, really good up until she left the journey.
Was there anybody else that you had a connection with from the merged tribe that we didn't really get to see in the episode?
Lauren, a little bit. Like she actually was the one who told me, like, I think they're coming for you. Like you should do something about it. And so red flags started going off in my head, and that's why I kind of started talking and doing whatever I could. But we had a really good conversation the night before, and I just felt like I couldn't trust her because I just met her and she was telling me this information that, oh, they're coming from me. Are you lying to me? Is this strategy? What's happening? But yeah, we were really close. We talked a lot out there for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Josh, we've covered so much ground here today. Is there anything else that you want the fans of Survivor to know about your time in the game?
I mean, geez. So I had a kidney transplant, born with Prune belly syndrome. I don't have a stomach due to cancer. I was doing this with a lot of issues, and it was hard. Like I was passing out. My stomach was hurting a lot at the time, and that's why I had a grimace on my face. So I was just trying to stay as healthy as possible to get through this. And I just want everyone to know that having chronic conditions like what I have doesn't stop you from doing what you want to do. You can still play the best game in the world, which is Survivor, like everybody else, and do it that much better. So I just want everyone to know who have chronic conditions that go for gold, go hike that mountain, go do Survivor, apply. You can do this. I never thought I could do this growing up, and I'm here, and it's amazing. Dream come true.
Okay, well, Josh, thank you for sharing all that, and it was really fun to have you as part of this season, and all the best outside the show. Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, take care.
See you soon.
Bye. Bye.